Today we are filming a what I eat in a day. We're gonna start off with breakfast, of course. I am going to make 계란말이, which are Korean egg rolls slash omelets. All right, so first we're gonna get an onion. I'm gonna be using my trusty food processor. I'm gonna toss the onions in. I also have a carrot. And then I'm also gonna throw in some zucchini. So now that we've packed the food processor, I'm gonna put the lid on. Amazing. Will you look at that? So next up, we're gonna crack 2 eggs into this bowl, right? And then I'm just gonna get a fork and start whisking. And then we're gonna get a pinch of salt. So now we're gonna bring back the veggie mixture and I'm just gonna pour the eggs. And I'm just gonna give it a nice mix up. That looks perfect. So now I've got some green onions and I'm just gonna slice them into little bite-sized pieces. All right, so now we're just gonna drizzle some oil onto the pan. And then I'm gonna put in my lovely egg mixture. All right, so I just made it into a nice little circular shape. I'm gonna make it a little fancy by adding some seaweed inside and also some green onions. I think that looks good. I believe in you. Come on. You got this, buddy. How do people flip this? God damn it. So as you can see, I've gone for this lovely log shape. So Ben just took a look at my omelet and he says it looks fine.
Approved.
Approved? All right, let's get off the pan. Let's go. Come on, you. So here's my egg. I'm just gonna start cutting it into little bite-sized pieces. I feel like with some food, you can just save it with some presentation. All right, and there we have it. 계란말이, Korean omelet. It is not my prettiest work, but let's see how it tastes. I love that it's just crammed with all these vegetables and goodness. It's delicious. All right, for lunch, we are gonna be whipping up a delicious bowl of Janchi Guksu. This is translated as party noodles. My mom told me that it's called party noodles because it's really easy to serve at parties because it's cheap, you can make a lot of it, and it's delicious. So the first vegetable I have is a zucchini. This one is massive. So I'm just gonna go ahead and julienne the zucchini. I'm just gonna cut it into really thin, bite-sized pieces. Next up, I've got 2 carrots. I'm gonna do the exact same thing. A century later, we are done julienning the carrots. And then lastly, we've got an onion. We don't need a lot of this. I always chop the onion last because my eyes always seem to water. Lastly, this is optional. I'm gonna be throwing in some jalapenos. I'm only doing this because the Korean store just sells them in bulk. So I thought I would just throw them into this dish. So now for the broth, we're gonna do the usual. Got a piece of dashima, which is dried kelp, some dried shiitake mushrooms, and then dried anchovies. I'll just put in like a handful. I always just kind of eyeball this. And then with some hot water, just let it boil. And this is just gonna make a nice, rich broth and full of flavor. Now we're just gonna fry these veggies up. The thing with these noodles is that it does take a minute to cook everything because you have to cook everything separately. This is purely if you want your dish to look pretty, but if you're in a rush and you don't care, throw it all in, doesn't matter. I am eager to use up everything in my fridge and I see that I have some red cabbage left over. I think I'm just gonna add it to the soup. I'm pretty sure it'll be good though, you know, it's just more veg. Did not forget about you, buddy. So I think the broth has been going on for at least 15 minutes. Like, look how dense this looks. So I'm just gonna fish everything out. And if you are vegan, feel free to just skip the anchovies. It still tastes really good. All right, folks, now we're gonna season the broth. Here I have soy sauce for soup. I feel like I always make this disclaimer, but this is different from normal soy sauce. I'm gonna add like a tablespoon of this in, mix it around. I want a little bit more depth, so I'm gonna go in with some fish sauce, and I'm gonna go in maybe like half a tablespoon. This just adds like an extra, Oh, yes, yes! This is the best broth ever. So traditionally you would use somen noodles, but I am gonna be using konjac noodles. This is my favorite like shirataki noodle brand. I think this one is like the less like pungent out of all the shirataki noodles, and I think it tastes really good. All right, so I just washed and drained the noodles. I'm just gonna add them to the broth. So I'm just blasting on the heat for another 3 to 4 minutes just so that the noodles are nice and warm as well, and then we'll be good to go. All right, so now this is the fun part, which is the presentation. So I've got my bed of noodles here, some zucchini, carrot, a little bit of onion, my last minute cabbage situation, and I'm also gonna throw in some chicken. Just have fun with the presentation, fill in all the nooks and crannies. I'm gonna top it with some jalapenos, because your girl likes a kick. And then I'm just gonna pour some broth over this. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness, you guys, this looks freaking delicious. It's literally a work of art. Look at that. This is the hilarious part. We worked so hard on this, and now we're just gonna mix it all up. Let's take a bite. It's like a nice soupy broth, quick to make. You can add as many veggies as you want. You could throw anything in here, to be honest. That's why it's a party. So I'm feeling a bit peckish, so I thought I would make myself a little snack. I just have my Greek yogurt with some blueberries and blackberries. The reason why I have blackberries is because I tried Nature's cereal yesterday. I was not a fan. I much prefer the way this tastes. This will tie over nicely before I start making dinner. Okay, it is time for dinner. It's like 4:45. So by the time I finish cooking it, it'll probably be around like 5:30, which will be my official dinner time. But anywho, we are gonna be making Maeuntang, which is a spicy fish stew. It's really, really good. This is actually gonna be my first time making it, so let's see. I looked at the directions and I was like, this sounds like a soup I've made before. So we're gonna start off with the broth first, which is gonna be like deja vu. Kelp, you guys know this. We're gonna add 1 shiitake mushroom, and then of course, some anchovies. We're gonna fill it up with some hot water, and then we're gonna boil that for 10 to 15 minutes. So while that's boiling, I'm just gonna start prepping the veg. I've got a Korean radish, and I'm just gonna peel the outside part. Growing up, I really did not like Korean radish. I always thought that it was a potato in soups, and I was like, oh, is this a potato? And then it would always be a fucking radish. But here I am, adding radish to this Maeuntang. Now I like it. It's strange how the palate changes as you get older. Next up, we're gonna need an onion, and then I'm just gonna chop them into thin slices. And now I've got like 3 big stalks of green onion, and I'm just gonna chop that into inches. And now I've got 2 types of jalapenos. I've got 1 green one and another one of these red guys, which are extremely spicy. But here we are, putting them in another soup. For anyone who is concerned about my heartburn, thank you by the way, jalapenos don't seem to give me heartburn. It's mostly hot Cheeto powder dust and coffee. Those are the 2 things that make my stomach go crazy, but jalapenos, somehow fine. So, not gonna question that. And then the final veg I'm gonna add is zucchini. I'm just gonna use the zucchini that we chopped up earlier today from lunch. The broth is looking good, and now it's time to fish this out. You guys are already pros, you know the drill. And now we're gonna add the radish in. Don't splash me. Oh, okay, great. And these are probably gonna take around like 5 to 10 minutes to cook. I like how I say this with such confidence. I've never cooked this before. I don't know how long this radish will take. All right, we should probably season the soup. I'm gonna put in 1 tablespoon of soy sauce for soup. We're also gonna put in 1 tablespoon of fish sauce. This is me just freestyling it. All right, and then I'm gonna put a little bit of rice vinegar. And then lastly, we've got some minced garlic. There we go. All right, boom. We're just gonna wait for the radish to get nice and soft now. All right, this baby is boiling, and now I'm gonna add my 2 yellow croakers. The recipe says to throw the onions in now. The recipe also says that I can add some more red pepper powder during this step. Also optional. I'm just saying, this is called Maeuntang for a reason. Spicy stew. I think I wanna add some zucchini. I'm actually going to add like half of the amount of jalapenos I sliced because I had a taste of the soup and it's already really spicy. Whoopsie. And now we're gonna put in our green onions. And now I'm attempting to shove in as much tofu as I can without overwhelming this pot. Please use a bigger pot than I did. Or just don't add as much stuff. But this is looking good, guys. Holy cow. Okay, I'm just gonna let it boil for another 5 minutes so everything's nice and ready to go. Then we'll have Maeuntang on the table. Let's have a sip. Mmm! Hot, delicious. We gotta serve this up. I'm very, very excited. This is the perfect dinner, y'all. Maeuntang with a bowl of purple rice. Yes, this is the life, man. All right, let's try the croaker with the soup. How? I truly believe that soups are the least intimidating meal to make. It's pretty hard to mess up a soup, I'm realizing. That's why I like to experiment with all different types of soups and stews. All right, folks, I'm gonna continue devouring this delicious soup. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I have enough soup to last me the next couple of days. I hope you guys enjoyed this what I eat in a day easy Korean recipes video. As always, check the description box for, I don't know what's in the description box, but I'll put something in there that is useful.